Welcome to Creole and Cajun Living with Bomb Cherry. In this video, I will be showing you how to make a pair of toddler pants within 10 minutes without the use of a pattern. The items used are my sewing machine with fabric and matching thread. I had a pair of scissors, pins. I also had some elastic and a pair of pants in which I used to create the pattern pieces for this project. Okay, so here are the pair of pants that I will be using to create the pattern pieces for my grandson. They're a size 2T. Okay, so here's the fabric that I will be using. Make sure that if it is cotton, to pre-wash and dry ahead of time. Okay, so here I've turned my fabric inside out. I want you to be aware that if you have any fabric that is directional or has a pattern of some sort on it, to make sure that your direction of the pattern is going the correct way prior to cutting your pattern pieces. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm drawing my cut lines. Yes, this is the lines in order to create my pattern piece, and I've decided to give myself a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both sides. Okay, so I'm simply just going to cut these pattern pieces out, ensuring that I make sure to leave at least that 1/2 inch on both sides of my pants leg. Okay, so here are my pattern pieces. It's 2 layers, and you will see that in a moment. Okay, so now I'm going to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew along here and here. Yes, once again, I'm going to sew a straight stitch from here to here and here to here. Okay, on to the next step. I'm going to just open this up at the top and pretty much put the portion in which I sewn, put those together, and here we are. Looks starting to look like a pair of pants, isn't it? Yes, it is. So now what I'm going to do is grab the crotch area and I'm going to pin those 2 areas together. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just want to pin this to keep it in place, and I'm going to then pin from the crotch downward on both sides. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew along that line, making sure that I have that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm going to take this to my machine, as you can see, and we're just going to sew this right up. Okay, make sure to always start going backwards and then you go forward. That's always to lock your stitches in place. Okay, so now here is what we have so far. I could go in and trim the seams here. Okay. Also, if you have an serger, you could serge those edges and it will cut off the excess for you. I'm going to leave it there for now, but let's take a look and see what we have so far. Okay. I can go in, grab those, and voila. At the top, these pins, I'm going to put an elastic in there, elastic band. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. Let's see here. Now let's take a look at the pins that I copied from the pattern. Check it out. It's only, these are damn near perfect. Look at that. Look at that. See that? So what I'm going to do is this portion here, this top portion is what I'm going to create here. Okay. Okay, so let me grab my mat, my pressing mat, so I can start creating my casing for my elastic. So the first thing I do is make just a small fold over at the top, and that's to get rid of that raw edge. That's all I'm doing at this point, and I'm going to just iron that out flat. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to fold my edges over about an inch. I want to make sure that my elastic, which is an inch wide, will fit inside of the casing. So here is my elastic, and I just want to make sure that it will fit in that area. Okay, so before taking this to my sewing machine and finishing it up, I decided to clean it up a little bit. So I noticed that my seam allowance is quite wide. So what I do is I want to trim that up a little bit. If you have a serger, this is the perfect time to use it. Okay, so now that that is done, I want to take some time just to kind of gauge where I'm going to start and stop stitching, because I need to leave a little space of 1 to 2 inches open so I can slide my elastic in once I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to remove a portion of my sewing machine, which will allow me to place this small area underneath my sewing foot without sewing any other areas except the area that needs to be sewn. Okay, so my next step is to figure out how much elastic is needed. I can use my tape measure to measure the person who I'm creating these pants for, but my grandson isn't here. So I am using a pair of pants, the same pair of pants that I used in order to create this pattern, and I'm just going to measure the amount of elastic used in it by going from inseam to inseam, folding it over, which makes it ×2, and clipping. And it's as simple as that. In order to place my elastic inside of the casing, I am using a safety pin. I'm going to thread the elastic inside of the casing, making sure that the elastic does not roll or turn. I then will take the ends of the elastic and clip them together using the same safety pin. This will ensure that I do not lose the ends while I am continually to feed the elastic inside of the casing evenly. Okay, so now it's time to take this to my machine, and what I'm going to do is do a running stitch up and down several times in order to secure the two ends of the elastic together. Okay, so here I am at the machine, and I placed the setting on a zigzag stitch. I am going to run this stitch forward and backwards at minimum 2 times to ensure that this does not come loose. Also making sure that I do not stitch anything other than these 2 ends of elastic. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to just cut the thread here, and let's take a look and see what it looks like. Yes, that is very sturdy, and it still allows the stretchiness of the elastic. Okay, so now it's time to pretty much just continue to feed the elastic in correctly so I can close up that little area in which I left open in order to feed the elastic through. Okay, so here's the end result. It looks pretty good, if I may add. And now all we have to do is pretty much just clean up any loose threads that may be hanging around. And then I'm going to just basically turn this inside out. Okay, so here are the pants that I created and the ones I duplicated them from. If you pay close attention, you'll see that the pants legs are the same length. The pants leg are also the same width. The waist area is also the same width. And the only differences will be the things that I decided not to add would be a pocket and anything decorative like the drawstring and the bottom of the pants. It took me anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to make this garment from scratch with no pattern, and you can do this as well. Now, if by any chance you watch most of this video, hit the thumbs up, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe.